the table. Yes, come to the table. Come to the table and celebrate with us. Come to the table. Come to the table. Come to the table and celebrate with us. We are all welcome. Yes, we are all welcome. Yes, we are all welcome. So celebrate with us. We are all welcome. Oh, we are all welcome. Yes, we are all welcome. Come celebrate with us. Let's have a party. Yes, let's have a party. Let's have a party. Come celebrate with us. Let's have a party. Yes, let's have a party. Let's have a party. Come celebrate with us. We are a family. Yes, we are a family. We are a family. Come celebrate with us. We are a family. Yes, we are a family. Yes, we are a family. Come celebrate with us.
Hi! Welcome to Compassion Camp, our at-home vacation Bible school this summer. I'm so glad you're joining me for our vacation Bible school. It's a real bummer that we can't be together and have our normal vacation Bible school this summer, but I'm glad you're joining me this way. This summer has been not as much fun maybe as some summers, but it's almost over, and I know you guys are doing so well at staying home and social distancing. So this week at Compassion Camp, we are going to be talking about compassion and showing compassion to people in our homes, showing compassion to our neighbors, showing compassion for ourselves, for people we meet along the way, and for our world. So today, our focus is going to be showing compassion at the table and in our homes. So what you're going to need today is your packet that looks like this. This is session 1 at the table. And you're also going to be using scissors and crayons, some tape, string, and a dowel rod. And all of these items should be in your bag. So if you want to go ahead and get them out so you will be ready to use them, that'd be great. Now, today we're going to be talking about a word called empathy. And empathy is feeling how someone else is feeling. So if you see someone crying or laughing or even yawning, our mind and our brain reacts to that and we feel for someone else. When we feel for someone else and we feel sad or we feel happy with someone else, that's a way of showing compassion and being more compassionate for somebody. Now, imagine if somebody in your house stepped on a Lego. Now, you might kind of think it's funny because they got hurt, especially if it's maybe your brother or sister, but you might also feel bad because you know how much that hurts them, and especially if they're really hurt. And that's being able to be empathetic and show empathy for them. Remember, today we're talking about empathy and feeling how someone else is feeling. I see you hurting and I feel your hurt. Today we're going to be reading a story from the Bible, and it comes from the book of Luke, and it comes from chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. So if you have your Bible handy and you'd like to turn to the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 11 through 32, I'd love for you to follow along as I read. This is what it says, and I want you to really listen and see if you hear any forms of empathy or compassion, someone showing compassion for someone. It says, Jesus told this parable. There once was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son greedily demanded his inheritance, turned his back on his family, and left them for a faraway country. He wasted all the money he took from his family. Soon he became needy and hungry. Even though he felt ashamed, he decided to return home, hoping his father might welcome him back. When his father saw him, he was filled with compassion. He ran out to his son and threw his arms around him. He was so happy he was alive. The father got a big dinner together with the best food and drinks to give thanks for his son's safe return. Meanwhile, the older brother came in from the fields. He was tired from working hard all day. When he heard the music and dancing, he got angry and refused to go into the party. His father went to the older brother to persuade him to come. But he said, "I have listened to you and I have worked hard for you all these years, and you have never given me a party. My brother comes home after wasting all of his money, and you throw him a huge party." His father said to him, "Son, I love you. You know what is mine is yours. But people matter more than possessions. We thought we lost your brother from our family, but he is home. Come to the table and celebrate with us." Now, what we just read had a lot of compassion in it. I would like for you to get out this piece of paper. And we're going to have a little discussion. I'm going to talk to you and ask you some questions. And while I'm talking to you and asking you these questions, you can go ahead and get your crayons out and be coloring the picture down at the bottom that says "at the table." Now, while you were listening to that story, what did the father see? Did you see what the father saw? How about the younger brother? What about the older brother? What kind of feelings did you have? How do you think the older brother felt? How do you think the younger brother felt? And think about the father and how he felt. Who shows compassion in this story? Did the father show compassion when his son came home? Did he show compassion to his older son who was feeling sad? I want you to imagine while you're coloring. Do you think the older brother ever came to the party? Would you have gone to the party? Do you think he sat down and enjoyed himself at the party? Who maybe do you think he sat with at the party? How do you welcome each other when someone's had a hard day? Maybe someone comes home and they've had a bad day at school, or maybe someone's had a bad day at work, and maybe they just want to be left alone and not sit at the table. I want you to think about how you would handle that and what you might do. I'm going to give you a few minutes to finish coloring your picture. And once you color your picture, you go ahead and use your scissors and cut out around it on the little dotted line. Okay, once you've colored and cut out your picture, you are going to take a piece of your string and you're going to cut about 6 inches, and then you're going to tape it onto the back using your tape. So get about 6 inches and tape it on the back. just like this. And once you've done that, you're going to get another piece of string. It can be whatever color you want. And you're going to make this string a little bit longer, maybe around 12 inches. Because what you're going to do is you're going to tie one end of this string onto your dowel rod, like this. And then you're going to tie the other end of this string onto the other end of the dowel rod. Make sure it's nice and tight. Should look a little bit like that. And once you have your string on your dowel rod and the string on your picture, you're going to tie your picture onto your dowel rod. So just make a little loop around it and tie it on there. I already had my knots done, so I'm just kind of sliding mine back on. So once you're finished, it should look like this. And what we're going to be doing is each day we'll be adding a picture onto our door hanger or wall hanger, wherever you would like to hang it. Once you're finished, you can set it over to the side. Make sure it doesn't go too far because you'll need it for the next lesson as well. I'm going to be reading a couple of books today, and the first book I'm reading today goes right along with the Bible story we did from the book of Luke, Luke 15. And this book is called Who Counts? 100 Sheep, 10 Coins, and 2 Sons. And it is a combination of 3 different stories taken from the book of Luke. And we are going to be reading 2 Sons. A father had 2 sons. Easier to count than 10, much easier than 100. One day, the younger son wanted half of his father's money. It would be his eventually, but he could not wait. He was restless and he wanted to travel. So the father divided his wealth in half and gave half to his younger son and half to his older son. This sounding familiar? The younger son went to a foreign land. There he had a great time doing whatever he wanted. But before long he had spent all the money and had none left, not even to pay for food. There was no one to share even a crumb of bread with him, as there was little food in the land. The son went to work for a farmer to try and earn enough to buy something to eat. The farmer told him to go and feed the pigs. Even the pods that the pigs ate looked good. That's how hungry he was. But even the pig's food looked yummy. Finally, the son was so hungry and tired that he decided to return to his father. But he wasn't sure what to say. How could he tell his father that he had spent all the money? His good pants were torn, his shirt was stained, his fancy shoes had holes. He thought, I will tell my father that I made a big mistake. I will say that I'm sorry. I will offer to work hard to earn money. The young son returned home. His hair was uncombed, his face was dirty, and his hands were covered in blisters. Does his father look mad? His father ran to greet him. He was so happy to see him that he did not care about anything else. He was showing compassion to his son. Instead of making his son earn money for clothing and food, he gave him a new coat, new shoes, and even a new ring. Then he invited everyone to his home to celebrate. The older son was still working in the field when he heard the happy sounds of singing and laughter and smelled sweet spices coming from his home. He wondered what was happening. He stopped one of the neighbors who was heading to his house and asked, "What is going on?" The neighbor was surprised by the question. "Don't you know that your father is making a big party for your brother to mark his return?" The older brother did not know. He had been so busy working. When the father counted everyone who had come to the party, he realized that one person was missing. That person was his older son. He had forgotten to invite him. Do you think that made the father feel bad? He ran out of his house to find his son. When the older son saw his father coming toward him, he turned away. He was sad and angry that no one had come to find him. His father spoke softly. "Your brother has come home. I invited all our friends to celebrate with us. You must come and be glad with us." He tried to hug his son, but his son folded his arms across his chest. The older son finally said to his father, "I have been with you all the years that my brother has been away. I did not waste your money. I did everything you wanted me to do. I never left you, but my brother did. Then you make a big party for him. You never had one for me. You didn't even invite me to his." Do you think the father understands how his son is feeling? The father thought, "I have two sons. 1, 2. I paid attention to my younger son, but I discounted my older son. I did not realize that he felt lost." The father took his older son's hand in his own. "Please, come and join the party. I love you. All I have is yours. Come and be with me and with your brother. I have 2 sons." He counted 1, and he pointed to the house where his younger son was celebrating. He counted 2, and he put his arms around his older son. "Without you," he said, "something is missing. With you, our family is complete." How do you think that made him feel, the older son? You think that made him feel a little bit better? That his father empathized with him and showed compassion for how he was feeling. The father could have gotten mad at the older son and said, "Stop acting like that. You're being childish." But he felt compassion for him, and he was empathizing with how he was feeling. Okay, for our next activity, we're going to be making a mural. A mural is kind of like a big puzzle. So you're going to need the 6 pieces of paper that look like these. Look like a big puzzle that goes together. So make sure you get all 6 pages out. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting off some of this extra paper around the edges, especially taking careful notice of where the picture meets up. So down at the bottom and on the sides. So you're going to need your scissors, and we are going to cut right along the edge, really carefully, but also it does not have to be perfect. So right along the edge. Again, not going for perfection. And this can take as little time or as long as you need. Just make sure you get that excess cut off. And we're going to be doing this for all 6 pages, making sure that they all line up when we tape them together. Alright, so you go ahead and finish cutting on all of the rest of the pages. Just cutting that excess off and making sure you get that extra white space off. Okay, once you have cut off all the excess off the sides and the bottoms, we're going to start taping the picture together to make a large mural. So let's start with the top 2 pieces. You're going to take the piece that looks like this. It has half the heart, and then the page that has the other half. And you're going to tape them together. Now I taped mine on the back so that I'm able to color up to that seam. If we put tape on the front, we won't be able to color on top of that tape. So you can lay it down, match them up, lay it down, flip it over, and then tape it on the back. And then you're going to do the same thing for the 2 middle pieces. It looks like this. You can see the road that goes right down the middle. Again, just line them up and lay them down so you can tape on the back. And then for the bottom 2 pieces. And this is what the bottom 2 pieces look like when they're matched up. You can see the balloon is where they meet. And then just tape it on the back using your tape. Then we're going to lay them down and tape them all together. So we have the top piece, the middle piece, and you can see where the middle lines up. Let's just start with those 2. Makes it a little bit easier just doing 2 at a time. So flip it over. If you need to hold it up a little bit to get some light underneath so you can see where they meet. You see there's the road, so I'm going to line that up right there and get my tape. And I found that using a little bit smaller pieces helps more than trying to get one long piece of tape. And again, we're not going for perfection. Just having fun. So let's see, I was pretty close. You can see those 4 are connected, and now we're going to do the bottom section. So we're going to flip it over, and this is going to line up the balloon. There's a little piece of the balloon right there, and also a piece of the slide. So I'm going to line those up as best I can and tape it right there. And then if you need to go back and add extra tape in any areas that you think might need it, you can do that. I'm going to tape really well on this middle seam so that it's all together. And then you have one large picture to color. Now, we're not going to color it all today. We're going to do a little bit each day, looking for signs of compassion. So today what I would like you to do, we're going to play a little bit of I Spy. Let's see what we can find. So remember, we're talking about empathy today and feeling for others. So let's see. Remember, our story that we read today was about a party and about a father who was welcoming his son home who had been gone. So let's see if we can find a welcome home party on our mural. And I see one down here at the bottom. So if you want to go ahead and color that with your crayons. And you can color that whole area. It's a whole great party that they're having there with balloons and a welcome home sign. Now let's see, while you continue coloring, the party, let's see, another form of empathy that maybe we can find. Maybe dropping off some groceries for a friend. So there's a little house right here with some groceries out front, and you see the friends out front together. That would be a sign of empathy. There's also a food bank at a church with some food donations. That would be a great sign of empathy. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to color on your mural and look for some signs of people showing compassion for one another. Since today's theme is at the table, be a great way to look for signs of compassion at the table. So the welcome home party is at the table. The food bank, see the table set up? They're having at the table, showing compassion at the table. What about communion? Don't we go to the table, God's table, to have communion? Let's see. Are there any other signs of at the table? What about, let's see, we did at the table. The delivery truck. So there's the food bank, but there's also this delivery truck, and you see the food set out on the tables. So those are all signs of compassion at the table. Okay, I hope you were able to finish coloring signs of compassion around the table on your mural, but if not, you can either pause and continue coloring, or you can get back to it in a little bit. Our next activity is again about feelings, because remember, we're talking about empathy and showing compassion through empathy today, and feeling how someone else is feeling. So you have some cards here. They say happy, sad, excited, silly, scared, and mad. And there's a couple of things you can do. I gave you two so that you can either play a matching game, cut them out, flip them upside down, and play a matching game with feelings. We're going to run through some scenarios, and I want you to think about these, how you might feel. Look at your cards, see how you might feel based on these different situations. So let's say you lost a tooth. How that might make you feel? Do you think that would make you sad if you lost a tooth? It might make you sad if it hurt. Would it make you scared? It might make you scared if you're scared of it hurting. Or it might make you excited. You might be so excited that the tooth fairy might be coming and that you lost a tooth and you get to put it under your pillow. Let's think about a birthday party. How do you think a birthday party might make you feel? There's a couple of things that can make you feel. It depends whose birthday party it is, right? If it's your party, you might be excited and happy. Maybe if it's your little brother or little sister's party, it might make you feel a little mad because it's not your party. So let's just think about how we feel in different situations. And you can talk about it with some of your siblings at home or your parents or your grandparents. Different things make you feel different ways. So today we've been talking about compassion around the table and feelings and emotions that we feel when we're sitting around a table. We talked about a father who showed compassion to his younger son who was shameful and afraid of coming home. A father who showed compassion to his older son who was feeling frustrated and angry. So many emotions and so much empathy and compassion shown. We looked at compassion around the table in our mural. Compassion shown during communion at a church. Compassion shown at food banks and delivery trucks and neighbors bringing food for their friends. And compassion at a welcoming home party. All of these things were in our mural today. And if you haven't finished coloring it, you can finish it this evening or whenever you have time. We're going to close today with a prayer. And this is our prayer today. It's on a piece of paper that you have with you. And it says, "Welcoming one, your warm, wide arms are always open, drawing us into your love. Make our arms your own, helping us see and welcome with compassion all those we meet." Amen. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes to color our prayer. And while you're coloring and we're finishing up, I'm going to read a story. And this story is called The Dot, and it was written by Peter H. Reynolds. Take this out. The Dot. You ever heard this story? Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. See that? Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There! Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." See her dot on her paper? Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. You can see her writing her name at the bottom because all artists put their name on their pictures. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. That must have made Vashti feel so special and happy. I can make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Wonder what she's going to draw. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting. Lots of little dots and many colors. So it seems like her teacher inspired her a little bit. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. See the big dot in the middle that's white? At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti showing compassion like her teacher showed her. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, what do you think she said? "Sign it." And maybe that will inspire him to continue his artwork. I'm so glad you joined me today for session 1 of Compassion Camp. I hope you'll join me again for session 2 when we start talking about showing compassion for our neighbors.